Welcome to lesson number 18, Course in Miracles. It's so nice to welcome returning viewers and new viewers, and this is really such a great feeling to read these lessons, not alone this time, but to you and to myself. I actually watch my videos, sometimes several times, not to see that I have a perfect makeup and move myself in a nice way, or talk in a nice way. Well, that too, because this is public, but I learn. I listen to my voice and I see somebody reflecting, and it's not me, and it's really, really, really nice. So I will read lesson number 18, Course in Miracles. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. The idea for today is another step in learning that the thoughts which give rise to what you see are never neutral or unimportant. It also emphasizes the idea that minds are joined, which will be given increasing stress later on. Today's idea does not refer to what you see as much as how you see it. Therefore, the exercises for today emphasize this aspect of your perception. The 3 or 4 practice periods which are recommended should be done as follows. Look about you, selecting subjects for the application of the idea for today as randomly as possible, and keeping your eyes on each one long enough to say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Conclude each practice period by repeating the more general statement, I am not alone in experiencing the effect of my seeing. I think I went ahead a bit fast because I repeated something, and I will do it again because there are 2 different sentences of practicing. So the first one is look around me and say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see. And then conclude each practice period by repeating the more general statement. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. A minute or so, even less, will be sufficient for each practice period. There is no coincidence that I messed this up a bit at all. Maybe there are no coincidences, but nevertheless, it was no coincidence this time when I'm reading this that I messed it up. My eyes went to the meaning. I don't know what I did, but let's reflect on a bit on the exercises. So today's idea that I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing is very, very soothing for my mind and my body and the nervous system and everything. Because knowing that we are not alone is, as I see it, the most important feeling. Even if we feel alone, many of us do, you can feel alone even with a big family, with many friends. The feeling of separation can be there anyhow, and is there anyhow in the human being, in me, quite strongly sometimes. So reading this in A Course in Miracles, that I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, it blows away with a friendly summer wind the feeling that I am alone in my life, seeing things and maybe being upset about them. A little upset sometimes and more upset other times, but the effects, if they are negative, I am not alone. So when I read this in the beginning of this lesson, when I had welcomed you and started reading, started strong feeling of happiness in me, and also awe, this feeling of awe. What can come of this? What will come of this? And I also was thinking while reading that I am not alone in reading these lessons now. I do it with viewers, somebody else, some other friends out there who are searching for more fulfilled feeling of life, are actually taking part. So I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Made me rush a bit into the exercises. So the first one with the fill in blank in it is, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see the world. How. Now, how is a word that can awaken many things. So I would ponder a bit about that. If I have, and I hope I will not do too much of a mind excursion here with my reflection on the word how. But how can be a very strong and a creative word. It can also take inspiration away. For example, if I have a dream and I tell this dream or vision or urge or wanting to somebody, and that person says, okay, so Teresa, how will you do that? How will you go ahead with that? At least I go, all right, so we go intellectualizing here. How? The vision in itself goes somewhere else, and I go into intellectualizing how, the logical. That is the effect of how in certain situation, at least for me. I don't know if you recognize it. Now, in therapy, for example, how can also be a victimizing word. How could this happen to me? How could they do that? How could he, she, it happen or do that, say that? So how awakens many, many things in us, but it's not always necessarily negative. But I will investigate what it has to give in these, for me, in these exercises. Because I think it's positive, it's very good here. I am not alone. That is That is wonderful, a wonderful beginning. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see, and this time I take, for example, the world. A lot of things are happening in the world right now, so. And then how is not negative at all. It opens a portal of creativity, and light comes into my mind, because it gives me space to create something if I'm not satisfied with the status that I'm thinking in. So if I think in a negative, problematic way of the tumult, what do you say? Everything going on right now. Turmoil, that is the word, the turmoil that I experience if I read the papers and listen to people reading the papers and the news. Then the experience is could be challenging, actually. Nothing new. Things have been turmoiling in the world since the beginning of time, too. One shall not forget that. But now we know everything all the time, so that's a bit of a difference. So experiencing nowadays perhaps could be speedier than it was before. I don't know. So the experience is there. Let's say, just stop there. The experience is there. And now we come to the last part of this sentence of the first exercise. How I see it. So how here is a choice. That's nice. That's good. So I'm not alone, and I do experience, and others are experiencing too. We are together. It also says in the beginning of this wonderful lesson that minds are joined, it says in the first paragraph. Can it get any better than that? Beautiful minds, I think, are joined. Well, I should not go too deep into that. Minds are joined. So I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see the world. Minds are joined. And we experience together. And we have a choice how we see things. And now the last sentence of this practice. Conclude each practice period by repeating the more general statement. And going general can be very, very helpful sometimes when one goes overwhelmed or into rage or too much feelings. Then go general. It's a good advice. I have both gotten the advice and given the advice many, many times because it's good. Go general. So the more general practice of today is I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So here the word how was left out. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Why is it more general? I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see it. Okay, so it's about me, how I see. How do I moderate my seeing? How aware am I of my seeing? I guess this is about that. And now I go into the more general statement. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. All right. That is, as I understand it, stronger. Because there is an effect here. My seeing, my experiencing of my seeing does have effect. All right. A minute or so, or even less, will be sufficient for each practice period. This will, I think I will watch this lesson and listen to myself reading it and reflecting on it a few times. Because it was not that easy, was it? So I will turn to Tokyo now. Good evening, Tokyo.
Hello there. It's interesting chapter. We are not alone in experiencing the effects of what we're seeing. Was that the headline?
The headline.
I think it was.
Yeah, that's the headline.
I thought it was interesting that they added this word effect, or effects. So if it said without the word effects, you are not alone in experiencing what you are experiencing. It would make, for me, it would be more natural, So I wondered, why did they add, or why did the author add the word effect there? And I thought, well, we are seeing as human beings the world through a lens, perception and everything. And so perhaps the effect in the world of how we perceive something, that's what creates what we call the world. It's an effect of our perception. So I thought maybe that's why they included the word effect there. But I'd like to hear what you thought about that word, the effect. What did you think about that? Because for me, quite honestly, it would feel more natural if they just said, you are not alone in experiencing the reality of your perception or something like that, without the word effect.
I agree with you. And it came to me too, like as I could have read it just the effect casually and not paying too much attention to it. But as we are doing the Course in Miracles now, and every word in A Course in Miracles is so important, then the effect, I read it because I wanted to be aware, what am I reading and what am I going to reflect upon? And the word effect really shone to me. It really stood out in the text when my eyes fell upon it, because, and actually when I speak now, there is shivering going on in my, like goosebumps a bit in my body, because it has effect, and that is very strong and very mysterious too. But as I have been reading A Course in Miracles and been familiar with it and listening to so many wise, aware people in my life and on YouTube talking about it and explaining it, I know that it is about creating a world and literally go out to a totally new planet when we have altered our way of seeing things. I know that. So the effect is strong. Was that a kind of an answer?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I thought as well. And it's interesting to hear that you also thought the word effect felt a bit out of place, but you understood it later. So
Right.
I think we have, maybe that's a common thing with readers of the book, and when they read this chapter, the word effect really stands out, It's interesting. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you for being with me, being with us in this. And please like and subscribe. It's only about being together in this, joining our minds in the most wonderful way we can, now, and it gives me such a pleasure to read these lessons on YouTube now, and knowing that I am not alone. Thank you.